Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm back. It's been a crazy week out here in Houston. Finally, kind of getting back to normal out here. I just want to hop on with y'all before I start getting on the phones. Uh, Honestly, these past 2 days, everybody's kind of been at home. I'm not sure if they shut roads down. I did see some stuff online. People were out having a good time, but uh, I managed to get over these last 2 days with the snow, icy roads, and stuff like that. I managed to get 4 leads. I already plan on giving them a call. Those are probably going to be the first calls I make before I actually start cold calling. And then the later half, well, the first half is going to be follow ups from calls of last week. And then once I finish the follow ups, then I plan on calling cold calling, right? Just calling a new list that I made. And what I really want to kind of jump to today is pretty much what, like, letting you know, hey, look, these are the steps that you need to follow over and over and over and over again. You want to follow your systems, follow your processes. It's very important. If you know, if you are cold calling, right? And then you say, okay, whoever answers, if they say no, I'm going to follow up with them in 2 months. Like, don't follow with them next week. You got to make sure you follow your systems and your processes. If you send an offer out via DocuSign, or you meet a seller in person to meet with them and you get the contract signed, me personally, the first thing that I would do is I would go ahead and just send it to title. Make sure your contract is sent to title. Because the thing is, even when you send it to title, they're not going to start the title search until the earnest money is deposited. So if you marketing to buyers like, hey, title is, essentially open, or the contract is at title, and you give them the title information, if they call the title company and talk and request to speak with the escrow officer, she can confirm that. So they know, like, okay, this is a live deal. So, like, the way I do it, let's say I get a property under contract today. I'm going to send the title information I'm going to send the contract to title and request the wiring instructions. Okay. Once I have that, I'm going to take the address. I'm going to put a little listing form together to answer all the questions and stuff. I might screenshot from Google Earth, or I might drive by the property. If it's out here, like, I might drive to the property and get a drone view, and then just kind of put the square around it and edit it, make it look nice, and email it to my buyers first. So let's say if I emailed it to my buyers right now, it's sitting at 9:20. If I don't have feedback by 5 p.m., I'm going to post it on Facebook, like Facebook groups, builders groups. I want to reach out to, like, because I have a lot of messages and stuff like that from builders who were interested in properties in the past. So I'll probably just go back through, like, look at your contacts. That's what's important. Look at your contacts. So I have a buyer's list of about 25 that I've worked with, and not just wholesaling land to, but closing new construction loans and putting loan structures together for them. So and I know they'll close. I know their products, but typically I usually get feedback from builders when I send it to my buyers list. I'll get feedback within like 30 minutes. So what I'm saying is, if you don't have feedback from your buyers or your builders or whatever, after a certain amount of time, post it on Facebook, post it on your different social medias. If you made a particular social media for your wholesale, like, if you have a personal Instagram and you have your separate, or, you post it on yours, just post your deal. Do all the little hashtag stuff, post your deal. And another thing you could do is you could just spend maybe $5 a day. That's so Monday through Friday, $25. You can do $5 a day and run a Facebook ad. Builders in Dallas, Texas, builders in Sarasota, Florida. builders in Nashville, Tennessee. You looking for a lot, looking to buy some property, whatever, and market it to them that way, right? I mean, there's different ways you can, but so basically, when you just like I said, you get it, send it. If you have interest, you just let them know, hey, here's the wiring instructions. This is how much money locks the deal in. Please confirm when you send wiring instructions. That's the easiest way. And then at that point, you're just waiting on title. You're waiting on the regular stuff that you're going to continue to do. Title, then survey. Survey comes back clean, closing. That's pretty much it. It's going to be the same repetitive process. The only thing that's going to slow it down is if you get the survey back and, like, let's say there's an easement that's running through the property that the builder didn't pick up on before before he ended up sending earnest money and signing the assignment. Maybe they don't want the property anymore, right? Or title issues arise. So, like, that's going to be the only thing that's going to trip up the deal. So, I mean, and it's literally like when you're following your process, it's going to be easier for you to be consistent, right? Like, it's going to be very easy for you to be consistent when you know, okay, I sit down, let me follow up on, when I start my cold calling, let me follow up on calls that I made last week. First, I'm going to go with the no answers, right? Then I'm going to go with the interested, or, call me back later people. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna follow up with, if you sent any offers out that weren't signed, right? Or if you interested people and you may have talked to them about an offer, they said call them back, or they want to speak it over, those type of stuff. Knock that out first, right? Then you're going to follow up with, then you're going to start your regular cold calling. That's what you're going to have to do. That's going to help you go. I'm telling you, that's going to help you stay so organized. And then it makes it easier if you were to bring somebody on with you, right? It's going to make it easier for you to teach them, hey, this is what you do, versus I do this. It's like, no, this is what you do working. Like, when I work, because essentially when you're by yourself doing what I'm doing, you're acting as the acquisitions, transaction coordinator, and disposition. You're all three. So you need to make sure you're doing, because at the end of the day, like, what happens if you're having a good month and you have 3-4 deals going at one time? You need to be organized. That's why I always say, when you are saving your documents and stuff like that, right? When you're getting your assignment contract, once the stuff is executed. So when you have an executed purchase and sale agreement, you have an executed assignment of contract, your title commitment, your survey, and your settlement statement, always save and label those documents and dates that you received all the documents. Save those. Save those in a file. I have a terabyte. Save those in a folder so you can go 2025 deals. Have a folder with the address and put all those files in there, and also save it in your CRM for that particular deal. So you can always go back and take a look at that. Always go back and take a look at that stuff. If something arises, something in the future comes, I would recommend that for sure. Also, when you're online, and obviously like something like wholesaling real estate, a lot of people want to get into real estate, and the barrier to entry for wholesaling is essentially $0. It's literally $0. I literally have a video where I show you how you can either A, spend $300 and just start hard, or B, if you don't have that money and you need that money, you're trying to make some money, you need a free option. There's a free option on there. It's because the other way to get in, you could go be a real estate agent, but you still have to pay. Out here in Houston, like, I have a real estate license. I'm not active, but I did get licensed in 2018. I think it was like total like $1,100 for the course alone. I have a video explaining that. That's probably one of my older videos that I did years ago. You can check back on my channel. Um, so it's like those are the entryways that you can get in terms of like the more of an entrepreneurship route, or you could simply go get a job working in real estate. I mean, like there's different ways, right? You can go be an appraiser, you can be a lender, get in underwriting. Like there's different ways, but I would say the lowest barrier to entry more than likely would be wholesaling, and then obviously being an agent on top of that. I would low key kind of do both. That combination, because like you whatever, like let's say if you're in your local market, so like here in Houston, you're not only do you have access to the MLS, which is the best data that you're going to have, right? You have access to expires, you have access to terminators, you have access to all of that. All the details that you need to know is going to be on the MLS. So you can market yourself, like, hey, I'm working with investors. If you're looking for properties in certain areas, let me know. So you can kind of work a deal. Like if you can't get it for like a solid wholesale price, maybe you can look on the market and see like what's a good retail price, right? And get you a listing. You can shift it to talking to the potential seller, like, hey, if you're let me list this property for you. If they don't want to do a wholesale, like if they don't want to do that price, it's like, well, hey, look, can I set up a time to come and speak with you? I definitely want to help. And then at that point, set the appointment with the seller. That's a listing appointment for you, a potential listing appointment. So the properties that you're trying to get to wholesale, if you're wholesaling land or houses and they don't want that price, it's a little low for them, kind of talk to them. Obviously you want to be realistic and practical. You don't want to just go and list some shit just to list it. Say you have a listing, set the tone, be practical, and list it. Boom, you have listings. So it's like a win-win essentially, right? Because it's like, all right, I can't get a wholesale fee on it, but at least I can get a commission, right? Or if I'm having these investors hit me up and saying they're looking for this, and that, they're paying 2%, 3%, whatever. They'll pay the finder's fee or your commission. You can go out and find it. So not only are you looking for deals to wholesale, but you're also looking for deals, some solid deals that are and for these type of investors, I would say these are long-term hold investors. These are people they're buying properties with private money, rehabbing it, refinancing out to 30-year debt, and they're holding it as a rental. Those are those type of investors who like find me a property, and they're typically looking all over, not just one particular zip code or two zip codes, like your builders probably would be comfortable building in and stuff like that. So that's just something for you to think about for sure. And then lastly, what I want to talk about, honestly, in this business, I'm telling you, it's just like any other job. You know what I'm saying? It's not mailbox money. It's literally calling. It's literally sending mail out. It's running ads. It's some drive for dollars, depending on how big or small your city, town it is, whatever. You're not going to feel like doing it every day, but you have to. You have to. Funny story. I wasn't going to call on Tuesday because that was like the kind of the height of the freeze, whatever, out here in Houston. I wasn't going to call. I was like, all right, I'm probably going to chill out just a little bit, enjoy the weather, But I was like, nah, fuck that. I want some money. And literally, I picked a market that's a little expensive, but I was just like, I've never tapped into that zip code. I spoke with a seller about a property that I wanted. She said she wasn't trying to sell that property, but her mom had recently passed and she's selling this property. It's not listed. she's just trying to get it out her hair. So went and took a look at I took a look at the property online, gave her a call back, told her, hey, look, this is what I can pay for it. And I have an appointment tomorrow to go see. And this is my first time looking at a house. And the only reason I'm decided to take a look at it is because the homes, like the new construction homes over there, are selling for like between $1 and $3 million. So and this is going to be a pretty, if we can, and I plan to go bring the contract physically to get signed. But if I can get this signed, this will be a $30,000 assignment fee. I already have the end buyer for it. I kind of pre-sent it because I know that this guy is in this area and he wants it. So I mean, if I didn't call, like let's say if I didn't call and I called the next day, maybe I wouldn't have called that zip code. I would have just went with a zip code that I'm familiar with. This is why you have to, it doesn't matter if it's just 25 dials. Doing something is better than doing nothing 10 times out of 10, 7 days a week, twice on Sunday. You cannot expect to close, to make money in a sales role if you are missing days and showing up half-assing days. I wouldn't, like, you don't have to be one of those super soldiers and make 200 calls a day. Like, you have to be, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to experience burnout. But because the thing, when I say 50 calls, 75 calls, I'm talking about dials. Like, hey, I did 75 dials today. You can't just like rely on cold calling for your business. You have to send out mail. You need to do that. Put up some bandit signs, because why not? When you drive around and you see this, just because you don't call the signs, you're not everybody else. When you drive around, you still see signs out. So that's somebody who's advertising when you're not. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it. If you're sending direct mail, you just have. That's how you get deals in. That's how you do it. And I would say it's probably not even that expensive to do bandits. Like you can get, I would say, if here in Houston, I would put up, maybe choose 5 zip codes and put up 5 bandit signs in those zip codes, because they all say the same shit: cash for your house, cash for your land, call here. I would do some in Spanish. There's the Hispanic population here in Houston. They own a lot of land in a lot of these gentrifying areas, just property in general. And then this is the thing: you could wholesale just because you are a land wholesaler. You have to understand some of these properties have houses on them that were built in the 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. And how I explain, to these property owners is, hey, look, my offer is going to be based on the land value. Being that the property is so old, I do have intentions to build. And I wouldn't say like demolish the structure or tear it down. Like, I wouldn't say that word. I wouldn't use those words. I would say things like maybe clear the lot to build. And they probably know that because they don't even live at the property, right? They know it's old as shit. Like, who wants to move into a home built in the 1950s, 1940s, right? So just explaining to them like, hey, look, I am buying the property with the intent to build, to maybe clear the lot, being that the home was built, I'm looking here, 1955. So my offer is going to be based on the land value of the property. And when you explain it like that, it's like, okay, that makes sense. Because why would I make an offer on what the home is valued at, right? Plus the land, if I'm going to tear the home down? Like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Like that, the thing is, some people don't have common sense, or some people aren't like sensible like that. It's not your job to like. I'm not going to say beg, but it's like if they don't understand that, I don't care. Hey, look, this is the number that I could do. Um, if anything changes, please give me a call, shoot me a text. Here's my email. Maybe I can follow up with you next week to see if anything, to see if you want to proceed. But at that point, move on. Because it's like, what more do you have to explain? I'm going to remove the structure, and I'm going to clear the lot out, and I'm going to build something brand new. I have to pay land value. I cannot put the structure value inside it. That's what I'm saying. Like, so that's just what it is. So just because, yeah. So I would say if just because you see a structure on a home, like on a property, if it's old, don't skip over it. Just see like, oh shit, the seller, like the owner of the property doesn't even live there. Let me see if they're willing to sell it, and explain that. That can be an untapped market for you. You can when you're pulling lists from PropWire, PropStream, List Source, all that shit, you can input that like homes built between 1950 and 1965, and lot size, minimum, whatever, boom, boom, boom. Put those characteristics in, boom, you got a brand new, you got a new list. And I would prefer working with those type of like lists because you can get stuff like from probate, but I don't think those transactions are necessarily going to be fast. That's my thing. I don't think those are going to be fast transactions. Like, just especially when you're dealing with courts and shit like that, the courts aren't fast. So, I would, me personally, I would keep going the route of putting out banner signs, trying to get inbound leads, and cold calling and building your own list and buying lists. That's me personally. That's how I would go about doing it. Because it's like you have to think about, what if you just do one deal a month? That's not bad. That's 12 transactions in a year. That's, you just brought in 50 grand essentially, right? Like, well, I'm assuming you're doing 5,000. Like, I would say I don't want really a wholesale fee smaller than 5. I'm not saying I'll pass up if it falls in my lap, but like minimum, you like, if you get a property for 90, you want to sell it for 95. 5 grand. Because I mean, yeah, 5 grand. So if you're doing 5 grand a month, I mean, yeah, you're sitting at 60 grand a year. That's one deal every month. Just one. You got 30 days to get one deal. Like, find one deal, find the buyer, get it under contract, get it closed. Not to mention, you can have deals from the previous month trickle. So I mean, you gotta it's really, if you have a goal and you really want to hit the goal, you really have to say, I want to make this amount of money every year in my business. Right? So if your goal is to do, I want to make 60 grand a year from wholesaling real estate. That's going to be $5,000 a month. That's going to be one deal a month. How many phone calls? Let's start with just cold calling first. How many phone calls do I need to make every single month in order to get one deal done? And you're not going to know that until you start calling more and you can see like how many at bats that you're in opportunities. I call them at bats. How many at bats do you get? Right. So if I sat here, let's say Monday, I made $50. I made $250 a week. Out of the 250 dials that I made this week, I got 5 opportunities, 5 at bats. Right? So I got 5 at bats. Out of the 5 offers that I made, I ended up closing 2. I ended up getting 2 to the finish line and then closing 1. Good morning, Q. What's going on? Good morning. I end up closing one. So I called 200. I made 250 calls to get 5 opportunities, 5 leads. 3 said no, that offer's too low. 2 were like, yeah, we can do this. 1 had title issues and shit like that, and 1 closed. Let's say the following week is similar. So in order for you to get 1 deal closed, at minimum, you need to make 250 dials. At minimum. So if you think about, like, let's say if you carry that on, you're doing that. If you make 1,000 phone calls a month, that's probably going to equal 4 deals. 1,000 phone calls, 4 deals, $5,000 each. That's 20 grand. I showed you, if you were on PropStream, right, and you pulled 1,000 leads all together, you paid for 1,000 leads on one list. That's $120. You can literally pay $120 and get all the leads for the month that you need, and pay $120 the following month. That's why I say it's important, like, to keep your job. Like, don't ever just, I'm about to go all in on myself and quit and boom, because it takes money to make money. It takes money to make money. Like, you can do it for free. It's going to be harder if you do it like the Regrid way, and you just look and you kind of manually find it, manually call. That's, hey, go ahead and do it. But if you have a job, right, and you have some expendable income, and you can cut back on some of your miscellaneous expenses, like going out to eat, spending money on lunch at Chick-fil-A and shit like that, when you can bring lunch from home, go to, we have HEB, go out to HEB, go get you them tuna packs that you can bring to work and eat that. They're like $1.50, and it's healthier too. Maybe not going to the bar as much. Maybe not spending that money on cigarettes or vapes or whatever. Like, you have the money. You have the money. Not especially us middle class people. Like, there's shit that we think that's like, we put it into our expense category. Like, it's like a phone bill or your car insurance, but it's really miscellaneous. You don't have to buy that bottle. You don't have to go out and to that lounge. You don't have to do that. Shopping, like, there's ways for you. Because if you think about, I can spend $120 to buy the leads that I need for the month, not for the week, the month. I can spend $120 and I can buy 1,000 leads from PropStream. In 1,000 leads, I just gave you the math. You're doing 250 calls a week, 250 dials a week. You might be able to do more. You might be able to, fuck it, I can get to 300 dials. And from that, you can potentially, like, I did the math, 250, you call 250 people in a week, you get 5 opportunities. Yeah, I'm interested. 3 of them say your offer's too low. 2 of them accept your contract. 1 has title issues, and then you end up getting 1 closing. Now, it's 4 months. It's 4 weeks in a month. Let's say you do that in that same formula. So when you're saying, I want to make this a month, or I want to make this a year, you got to reverse engineer. So that means I need to make this amount of dials. I need to be sending this amount of offers out. Because if you send 5 offers out from your week, that means that's a solid. That's like, I'm sending out at least 1 offer every day. At least 1 offer every day. And this not counting if you are a Saturday worker. If you're a person who, like, you can dedicate 4 hours of your Saturday, cool. I mean, I wouldn't recommend Sundays. That's the day I've gotten cussed out the most. Is like, why the fuck are you calling me on a Sunday? Fuck off. Like that's probably the funniest one. It's like, why are you calling me on a Sunday? And I was like, I work, man. I'm just hustling on a fucking Sunday. fuck off. That shit was funny as hell. But I mean, hey, it is what it is. Like it's just the business, just the nature of the business that we in. I've done one deal. Well, I've done actually two deals with realtors. I mean, as long as I can make my wholesale fee, I don't care. Like, well, one deal I did with a realtor, and I don't recommend you all do this. This is just a one-off. This is one time I did this. Um, Instead of doing the assignment, what I did was I just went ahead and had the seller and the buyer sign, right? And I put my assignment fee in the special provision section of the TREC form. Like this amount of money is to be paid to Savion Miller at closing. And then the buyer was responsible for paying the realtor like their commission, to answer your question. So I have worked with a realtor twice on closings, but not typically, not really. How I like, if I do partner with realtors, um it's really to help it's really if they represent builders and who they have their financing with, and I try to help them on the mortgage side. So like when they need a construction loan to do their new construction project, that's typically when I want to pop in and I want to help them do that. But in terms of like wholesaling land and kind of getting deals done together, no. I do want to do some novations. So I might work with realtors in that aspect if the deal doesn't make sense as a wholesale deal, but potentially like, I could list it as a novation, and me and the realtor can just split the assignment fee. So like that's kind of the only thing that I've come up with that I see it might be worth pursuing. But yeah, I hope that answers your question. But yeah, I mean, going back to just reverse engineering, once you figure out, okay, this is how these are my KPIs. All right, guys, I gotta go. Duty calls.